So here's an interesting little nugget of information I found out about recently. On the now dead Rokenjima forums, there was a user by the name of Selkie who's been into Lolita fashion as long as they've been into Umineko. And whilst perusing a few back issues of the Gothic Lolita Bible, which, for those of you who don't know, is a popular Japanese publication about Lolita fashion, anyways, they were perusing a few back issues and noticed that some outfits were, remarkably familiar looking. The Rokenjima forum is considered dead, and while I was working on this video, the site was actually completely down for a while. But I think what Selkie discovered is really interesting, and I'd hate to see it go away forever if the site goes down permanently. So if nothing else, for the purpose of preservation, I'd like to tell you about Selkie's findings and the interesting and, from what I can see, not widely known about origins of the outfit designs in Umineko. And then I want to tell you a bit about the time Virgilia's dress was put in an art museum. So without any further ado, let's go. Selkie wasn't the first person to notice that some of the designs in Umineko... God, I can't quite put my finger on it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I've definitely seen this before. That was a user on a Japanese site called @wiki who wrote about finding dresses and design elements that were remarkably similar to the outfits worn by Gap, Gertrude Lambadelta, Witch Maria, Evatrice, Ziparin, Furfur, Leon, and the Chester sisters. And the Chester sisters, I think this is especially funny, so whereas everyone else's outfits come from Lolita brands, including a few prominent ones like Angelic Pretty, this post lists the Chester sisters' outfits as sourced from Idolmaster, and not one of the better outfits at that. Now, honestly, I think that one's a bit of a stretch, since they don't match up super well. It'd be kind of weird if everyone else had these Lolita outfits and then just one of them was from Idolmaster. That just seems kind of unlikely to me. And then of course, I think both outfits are just using the same marching band-esque motifs. But aside from the Chester sisters and, maybe Gertrude? Maybe? These all look pretty similar though, right? And then came Selkie's post on Rokenjima. In addition to some of the elements listed on @wiki, like Eva's hat and Lambadelta, Selkie was able to find Umineko-like outfits in the Gothic Lolita Bible for several characters, and what I find especially interesting is that there's even outfits for the characters who you might not expect it for. Characters who are, let's say, dressed pretty casually compared to the witches. Selkie found the dress for Evatrice, and Ronove, Erika, Natsuhi, Bernkastel, and Rosa. There's also outfits that look similar to the ones worn by Virgilia, Beatrice, and Battler, though their similarities are less blatant than the others. Then there's a bit at the end about Shannon's outfit, and this is pretty interesting. Selkie says, quote, "This one I missed at first because it's so far removed, but there's no doubt about it when we look at the pose, in particular the legs. This explains Shannon's absolutely bizarre exposed skirt. It's what Ryu07 saw when he looked at the petticoat. From here, it looks like the model's skirt is split open and held together with the two chains exposing her petty. This isn't the case, however. The petticoat is just layered with some black trim, as we can see from the top of the page." End quote. So that's pretty wild, right? I mean, imagine someone wearing one of these dresses to a con, no clue about what Umineko is, and hopelessly confused about why they keep getting stopped for pictures. I can't help but think that that must have happened at least once somewhere out there, Especially considering that some of these brands like Atelier Boz and Angelic Pretty, I mean, I don't know too much about Lolita fashion, but even I know what they are. And as peculiar a thought as that may be, the intrigue surrounding the outfits in Umineko somehow doesn't stop there. Seeing the outfits in Umineko in Lolita publications before Umineko came out, I mean, it's definitely striking and definitely raises a lot of questions, but it's believable, right? And seeing these dresses at anime conventions, again, noticeable if nothing else for the novelty, but if you were to see one of these dresses out in the wild, it's probably the first place you'd think of, right? So how would you feel then if I told you that you could also see Virgilia's dress on display in a museum? Let me paint a picture for you. The time is late 2017 through early 2018, and the place is the Übersee Museum in Bremen, Germany. It's a museum where, quote, "visitors can immerse themselves in distant continents and discover the fascinating cultures and natural environments with unique exhibits from across the world, masterful animal dioramas, and real plants. plants. And during this time, plants and animals weren't the only thing you could see at the museum. They held an exhibition about Japanese pop culture called Cool Japan Trend und Tradition. And perhaps one of the most noticeable items in the exhibition was Virgilia's dress on display, complete with a screen of Umineko on it to the side. Now, Umineko, it's wonderful. It's a masterpiece. It's one of the highest rated visual novels on BNDB. It totally belongs in a museum, but like, I mean, come on, how did it get in a museum? I love Umineko, I really do, but it's not exactly the first thing that springs to mind when I think of Japanese pop culture, you know? So I actually got into contact with the Ubersee Museum and the exhibition's curator, Dr. Renate Noda, I hope I pronounced that right, to find out, and her exact words were, quote, "I managed to buy this outfit in Tokyo, in Akihabara. It's an example of cosplay. We also showed the game on a screen to the background. I liked the costume, and it was used, so it is more authentic, and it fit into my concept for the exhibition. I also showed the Gothic Lolita Bible in Cool Japan beside a sweet Lolita outfit. Both costumes and the magazine are now still shown in our permanent Asia exhibition. We moved them there with other street fashion and cosplay outfits after Cool Japan ended." So in other words, visitors to the Ubersee can still see Virgilia's outfit and the publication her outfit has roots in within the Ubersee Museum. There's a lot of great things I can say about my other favorite games and visual novels, but I can't honestly say any of them are currently on display in a museum like this. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's just about the coolest thing in the world. And so, congrats. For better or for worse, you now know the origins of the outfits in Umineko and how you can still find one of them in a museum if you find yourself in Bremen. Interesting little nuggets of information, right? I bet you're feeling more ready than ever for your Umineko themed trivia night, so you're welcome. This whole thing probably has you thinking a lot of thoughts though, right? And you're more than welcome to comment with them, of course. And speaking of comments, I'm especially interested in comments from anyone who may have seen Virgilia's dress in the Ubersee. I'd love to hear stories about your reactions upon seeing it. And so, on that note, I think I've said everything I want to say for now, so, man, I am still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Virgilia's dress is currently on display in a museum. Honestly, if that isn't the coolest thing you've learned all day, I'd love to know what is. As far as the outfits in Umineko go, I think Beatrice and Evitrice would be my favorites.